Welcome to Stilson Cellars. My name is Deb Stilson. I'm a co-owner of our small family winery with my two sons. And we're gonna go through the wines and I'm gonna tell you the story about Stilson Cellars as we go.
Awesome. So I know you got some wines picked out for me because that's not all of them, right?
No. Right now we actually have 11 SKUs. So 11 different wines that we pour.
And you picked out 6 special ones just for me.
We did pick out 6 special ones just for you. I wanted to pick out the ones that kind of tell a story. Not all of them do, but this will go through our background and why we got started and give you an idea about the Stilson Cellars family.
Perfect. I think let's get started.
All right. So the first one that I have for you is our Reverie. It's 100% Viognier. Reverie stands for living in a dreamlike state, but I tell everybody in my story that this is me living out my fantasy, my dream. I always fantasize about having an endless supply of wine. Okay. So I knew that when I retired, my goal was to move to Paso Robles and pour wine in a winery. So this is living out my dream.
All right, so I know there's usually like notes and nose and taste and smell. So what am I going to get from this one?
Okay, so we have a really fun sommelier that we hired that writes our notes for us. I'm really not into picking up everything that I think that a sommelier can. So we hire her, we give her some wine and pay her, and she writes some really fun notes. So the Viognier is going to be light and crisp. It's not acidic at all. It's got a really beautiful mouthfeel. I like to tell people that a Viognier is like a red drinker's white.
Yeah, I do find myself liking Viognier, even though I'm not a big white person.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you said that.
It's not so bright and acidic like a Sauvignon Blanc or a Pinot Grigio. It was not fermented in oak, so it doesn't have any buttery notes. But yeah, see what you think.
Would you consider it like sweet at all?
No, but it does have floral aromas and pineapple. You're gonna get fruit on the palate when you take a sip.
Okay. Well, there we go. I'm supposed to do this pinky up, right?
Yes, pinky up.
Okay. I'm supposed to switch it around a little bit.
Yeah. Take another sip, and they say 3 sips.
3 sips. Okay.
3 sips to get the full taste of it.
It's really tasty. I'm just gonna say that right now. So here's the last sip.
Okay.
All right. It almost tastes a little different now as I keep going with it.
Right.
What might be the reason for that?
Well, and also you have to remember that this was just pulled out of the chiller. So as it sat here for the 10-20 minutes before you started tasting, and then it warms up in your glass a little bit. So it's going to open up. You're going to get a little bit different taste from the end than you did in the beginning. If you had a full glass and it sat here and had more time to warm up, you would get different notes as well. It just tends to open up a little bit more. All right.
Cool. Well, thank you for that one. So what's next?
So the next one is our 100% Mourvedre. So this one is a fun one. It doesn't really have much of a story as far as the family goes, but this one does tell a tale. So my younger son, Cole, is our winemaker. And on this vintage year of the 2021 100% Mourvedre, he decided to treat it a little bit differently. He wanted to give it a bit more delicacy. So when I pour it, you're going to see it looks like a dark rosé. It still has that like Auburny colored tint to it, which shows that it's a Mourvedre. But this one is just super delicate. He did less the introduction of the juice at the bottom of the tank to the fruit at the top of the tank when it was fermenting. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, he also did very slight press. So the harder you press, the more juice you get, but also the more tannins you pull out. Not that Mourvedre is a highly tannic one, but it just was very, very delicate. So a nice, beautiful aroma. When you bring it up to your nose, make sure you stop there to smell it. And then when you taste it, it's just super delicate.
Yeah, the color almost looked like almost peach, kind of like a plum almost, right? Okay, one more time. What am I supposed to be getting right now, roughly?
Well, I mean, let's go to her notes because I'm not going to. I could tell you what I get at the end, but I don't want to persuade you because I'm not as educated as the sommelier. So
that's funny. I just said plum color, and I'm still trying to learn how to define the taste.
Yeah.
The color, I mean, you can.
And that's a journey. You're going to learn more and more as you go through it. But the aromas that she gets, and then the flavors that she gets. But you know what? I have to tell you, my favorite thing about the notes that she writes for us is the part where she says pairs with. So not everybody's going to get the aromas that she can pick up or that she wrote down or the ones that she gets on the taste, but everybody can identify with the food item that she's listed there. As you're drinking the wine, you can picture yourself having that, whatever it is, seafood salad, whether it's that or a big steak. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fun one.
I need to practice, or I need to experience more of what it pairs with, because it's just one of those things where, like, on movies and TV shows, you see them grab a red if there's a steak, but if there's fish, you see them grab white. So it's like just kind of putting myself in that state, or like just make myself comfortable with knowing that information. But then there's times where, like, I see them grab a white for the steak. So it just depends.
There are some generic rules, but I mean, if you find something that goes well, it doesn't have to fit all the rules.
My favorite thing to do with any kind of red wine is chocolate.
Yeah. Honestly, chocolate I feel like goes with anything. All right.
Yeah, that one's good. I'm leaning more towards the Viognier right now, but I mean, I think we'll talk about what's our number 1, number 2, number 6. I'll try to remember all that, but
So I have to tell you what I get on that one.
Okay.
So this one is actually a fun one for me because it actually brings back a childhood memory of Jolly Ranchers.
Interesting. Interesting. It's like, because it's room temperature, so I can see that. Oh my God, yes.
But that one's also one that last year, when it was in the hundreds, we ended up chilling it and pour it behind the rosé, and it was our chillable red. So when it's super hot, you chill it. Again, like the Viognier, though, if you've chilled a wine and it's in your glass for a while, it's going to open up. So you're going to have a different experience from when it was chilled in first in your glass to when you finish that glass. So that's kind of fun.
So you just mentioned temperature outside. What's the rule of thumb as far as red, whites, chilled, not chilled? How long do you leave them out after you take them out of the fridge? Because obviously you don't want them like completely chilled.
You know what? I don't know the exacts on those.
Okay.
But
just whatever you feel comfortable.
We like our wines at certain temperatures. And so we keep the room temperature in here is a little cooler than the room temperature in your house, just because we're in a tasting room. So it's always going to be you're going to play different things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what's next.
So the next one on the list is it's actually our first blend. So I'm gonna give you 3 blends in a row.
Okay.
This blend is called the Coalescence. So to coalesce is to come together at a perfect point. And basically, when we decided to start blending a Cab and a Merlot together, we decided where the perfect point was in blending those 2 amounts. And so this vintage year was the second one. This is a 2021, and it's the perfect blend for us. The smoothest point was 58% Cab, 42% Merlot.
All right, let's see. I'm supposed to swirl a little bit, right?
Yeah,
oxidize it a little bit.
You're gonna give it a good swirl. Some people like to look at the legs.
Yeah. Oh, the swirl with the legs. This one has good legs.
All right, then let's see what she says that you should be getting on the aromas. So, aromas of caramelized currant, dark plum, sweet pipe tobacco, and star anise. And then on the flavors of baked blackberry, rhubarb preserve, milled cedar, and toasted thyme. Now, I also wanted to tell you that this was we've been submitting some of our wines to Wine Enthusiast,
Oh, okay.
So we've had some good ratings, and this was one of them. It was rated 91 points by one enthusiast, and then they gave it a title of Hidden Gem. So that's kind of fun.
And just out of my curiosity, what's the alcohol so far on these three?
Okay, so the Viognier is 13.4. The Mourvedre was 13.1. I believe the Coalescence is 13.1. Yeah, 13.1. And then we tend to go up a little bit from there.
Okay. Yeah, because the warmer I feel like it tastes for me, like on my tongue, I feel like more alcohol. And this they all like true. Pretty much at like even right now.
All right. Was that your third sip on that one?
That was the third one, yeah.
All right, good. Okay, so the next one is the Genesis. So in 2019, we decided to go out on a limb and be a little crazy, and we bought a small vineyard out in Geneseo, AVA, or the district in Geneseo, and so it was a new beginning for us. So starting up here again, which I'll get into the story of why I say again in the next one, but with this being our new beginning, we called one of our first blends of the vintage 19 the Genesis. So the Genesis is always going to be mostly Syrah based. This is 80% Syrah, 20% Mourvedre. It's actually the same Mourvedre that you tasted in 100% this vintage year. So this is that really delicate, 20% of it is that really delicate Mourvedre. Yeah. And then the Syrah part of it, the 80% Syrah, comes from way back in the hills of Adelaida. Not Adelaida Winery, but the Adelaida AVA district. Actually back farther than like Justin and DeGhost, all that, way back there at Westside Vineyard Ranch.
Okay. I'm getting more cherry now. Is that what the notes are going to say?
And this one was rated by Wine Enthusiast as well. I believe that one says 90 points there.
Yeah.
The Genesis. And also it received a gold medal at Central Coast Wine Competition.
So how do you decide which wines you want to submit, and how do you know what's the turnaround on finding out what it's
Cole has been the one that has been choosing to do that in the beginning. Okay. We really didn't even really send out anything to get rated by a like Wine Enthusiast or James Suckling or anything. We just submitted to different competitions. Now he's kind of he wants to go more of the rating, although we are going to submit another 5 wines at Central Coast Wine Competition this summer. But he chooses the ones that he feels, he wants to see how they are appeared or how they present to other people.
I think that's a really cool, like, subtle marketing way to get your wine across the country, because everybody reads the magazine. The ratings. Yeah. So he's submitted to James Suckling, like I said, and he's also submitted to Wine Enthusiast, but that's all we've done so far. Okay, you ready for the next one? I am ready. Yeah.
Okay, so the return is another one that we made that first year in 2019, and it tells our story about being able to return to Paso. So we found Paso Robles when my in-laws actually retired and moved to Cambria in 2010, and we loved it up here, and we decided that we needed to be up here. So in 2011, we moved up to Paso. Unfortunately, it only lasted for a couple of years, and so we had to move back south again in 2013. So again, going back to the reverie, I had said we were going to return here, we were going to retire here, I was going to pour wine in a winery. So when we were able to come back, that's why we named this one The Return.
The Return. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I like that story.
So about the wine, this is our play on the GSM. The vintage or the percentages might change every year. This vintage 21 is Mourvedre and a little bit higher than the Syrah. So it's a GMS instead of a GSM.
Got it.
But it is mostly Grenache, and 58% Grenache, 22% Mourvedre, and 20% Syrah. Just a beautiful blend. I think that the reason why GSMs are so popular is because those grapes just do really well together, and they play the best parts of each one. So, yeah.
Growing up, I mean, I always heard get the Merlot, Cabernet, you know, the whites, the Chardonnay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not until I started diving into the wine world where a blend is way more popular than I thought they were.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think because if you're, and I don't know, it's not necessarily a gateway to it, but if you're just starting out, you're going to seek out those wines that are very smooth, right? Yeah. They don't have stark earthy taste. They don't have stark tannin. You know, you're going for a medium because you want to have something that's enjoyable in the beginning. Later, your taste will change.
Yeah.
You'll get into the bigger and bolder, or sometimes you swing back to more of a bubbly. You know, your tastes are going to change all throughout your life, and so do your experiences with wine.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, I think the blends are really popular because it is something that winemakers make to be smooth.
Yeah, because now you're not just dealing with the year. If there was a drought, if there was a lot of rain, now you're dealing with the the mixing of and how good the winemaker.
The best you can do with those wines that you made those years. Yeah,
that's really cool, and it's just a product of how much feelings and thoughts and emotions go behind the wine.
Okay, so then this one. Oh, sorry, am I pushing you? Give you a minute. Okay, so this one is the Aware bottle. This one is a tribute bottle for my husband who passed away in 2016. The image is very difficult to see on the bottle, although we do love the gold. It shows definitely better in black and white, and so we have it behind me. I also have it here. It's a drawing that Cole had a friend do that he wanted to have as a tattoo for his dad when he passed. And then that eventually became our label. And so this is an LA City, or it's actually a picture of his father as our guardian angel. He was an LA City firefighter. And AWARE stands for Suicide Prevention and Awareness. Unfortunately, Sean took his life, but we wanted to make sure that we had a bottle in honor of him, to honor his life, and also be able to talk about him every day.
Yeah.
And also share the struggles of mental health that is necessary in the first responder in general, but also across the board, you know, anybody who's a first responder, emergency worker. And so we also use this bottle to help 2 organizations that we work with closely to donate partial proceeds from the sale of the bottles. Each sale that we make, we donate a partial proceed to the 2 organizations that are working with first responders and veterans.
That is an amazing tribute.
Yeah, so this is our 100% Zinfandel. It is, we have it on the reserve list. It's considered our reserve wine because this one spent more time in barrel. So the other reds that you already tasted, those were bottled at about 18 to 20 months, and the Aware was not bottled until 30 months in oak.
So what does bottling affect? How does it affect the wine when it comes to the length of time you do bottle it?
There's a lot of different ideas behind that, but I think that for me, what it does to the wines that we have, that I've tasted, is I think that it gives it just a softness. So when you taste the Zinfandel, you're getting that fruit, right? You're getting that jamminess in the beginning. You're getting some of the pepper.
I definitely got breakfast in there with the jam. Yeah.
Okay. But you're also, I think, getting like this velvety mouthfeel that comes along with, I think, the extra time that was spent in the oak barrel.
Yeah, that is complete. That's like changing our entire course of wine tasting right now, because it's completely different than the rest. Which is, I like it. I really do like it. I think that was the third one.
All right. So what are your thoughts now?
My thoughts. That was 6 already?
Yeah, that was 6 of them.
Perfect. Definitely.
Now let's show them to you.
Okay.
So all completely different, right? So we have white, which is 100% Viognier.
Yeah.
We had the 100% Mourvedre, which, you know, not many people are doing that as 100%. And then we have the Cab Merlot. Then we have the Syrah. The Genesis is a Syrah Mourvedre. Then the Grenache Mourvedre Syrah. and the 100% Zinfandel.
I think the Reverie and the Aware are my top two.
Okay.
For sure. And I think it just depends on what kind of day I'm having for those.
Okay, well, yeah.
And then I want to say the Mourvedre and Coalescence are like tied for second, third.
Okay, very good.
And then Genesis and Return, even though they're really, really good, I think they're like I can go without, so I would definitely go with the other ones first.
Excellent.
You know, and I think that would be my thing right there.
And it's all about your taste, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I'm happy where you're located too. You're located right next to the big Avo Hotel that's going to be opening up, which I'm super excited. And you've expanded too, so right before they open up.
Yeah, we're very excited about that.
Well, thank you so much, Deb.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
thanks for
This was
coming
fun.
in.
I like it. And then
thanks for tasting Stilson Cellars.
yeah, thank you.